QuickBooks Pro Desktop 2021. Export chart of accounts as IIF file to change account numbers. Let's get into it with Intuit's QuickBooks Pro Desktop 2021. Here we are in our example file. We currently have the open windows open. You can open the open windows by going to the view dropdown, selecting the open windows list. We're now going to go to the lists dropdown, go to the chart of accounts. Our objective is to take this chart of accounts, export it to basically an IIF file, or in the format of an IIF type file, which we can then open with the help of Excel, make some adjustments. Our goal is to adjust some of the account numbers and then import it back into place. Our idea being that we want to adjust some account numbers, and if we have a whole bunch of account numbers, imagining we had a whole bunch of account numbers we need to adjust, then we can do this a bit more quickly if we export it and do those adjustments with the help of Excel. Note as you do this that you do want to make sure that you make a backup file, because you will be exporting. The exporting is not a problem, but the importing of the chart of accounts back into the system, you want to make sure that that you have a backup file in case anything goes wrong with that. With it. So the main way to make a backup file is simply go to the file dropdown, company and financial, and then make that static backup file. That's a great tool for the QuickBooks Desktop, because then you can experiment with things like this and test it out. And if something goes wrong, and then you can go back to the backup file. So we're going to be exporting this as an IFF. So I'm going to go to the file dropdown. We're going to go to the utilities, and then we want to go to export, and we're going to be exporting the lists to IFF file. So file tab, utilities, export lists to IIF files. So there we have it. The one we're looking for, of course, here is going to be the chart of accounts. So I'm going to say OK. I'm just going to put it on the desktop, and we can rename it. Now, when you rename it, make sure don't rename the extension here. If you have an extension, we just want to rename chart of accounts. So that'll be it. And then I'm going to say save it on the desktop. It says the data has been exported successfully. That is good. So now if I go to the desktop, notice this is obviously the program file. Here's going to be the IFF file. It's got an extension of a .iff. And then, of course, we have the file that we're working in with, which is a QBW file. So you can get a feel and a look for what all these different files look like. Now, we want to open this thing up with Excel. So one way you could do that is actually to open Excel first. So I'm going to open up Excel first. I'm just going to grab a blank worksheet here. Blank worksheet. I'm going to drag that to the left, and then I'm gonna put this over a little bit more, and then I'm going to pull this thing, and I'm just going to drag it on top. So I'm going to drag it on top here, and so there we have it. So now it opened up a new tab. So there it is, our chart of accounts, and you can see the extension up top, the .iif. So we're not going to save this as an Excel file, but we could use Excel to adjust it. If we adjust the formatting of it from an IIF file to an Excel extension file, we won't be able to upload it again, but we can use the Excel formatting here in order to adjust things. Now you have to be careful in here, because you can't make adjustments like adding columns and rows and whatnot. You're limited to what you can do in here as you would with Excel, because it's an IIF file, and we have to import it back up into the system. So we have to keep basically the same formatting that we have when exporting to put it in here. But what we're concentrating in on is going to be the account number. So we have the account numbers here. We have the names to the right. So we can make the adjustments a bit more quickly in here. And we can use some of the Excel functionality to basically put this information a little bit more easily into the system. For example, we can hide some cells, right? So we can basically say, I want to concentrate on, if I highlight a cell, I'm going to right click and hide that whole column. And then I would like the names here. And I would like basically the account type, which is going to be this column E. So column C and D, I'm going to right click and hide those. And now we have the date. I don't need any of this. I just want the account number now. So I'm going to right click and hide this information. And then I'm going to go back on to the account number, and everything on beyond here, I'm going to right click and hide that information. So now we've got all this lined up, and we can just manually put this information in terms of the account numbers, and we can do it much more quickly now than we could to open up each individual account number within the system. So we'll practice doing that next time. I'm going to open these back up for now, and we'll do the whole process. We'll hide these cells again next time, and then we'll go through thinking through adding the account numbers into the system at that point. So I'm going to select all of these. Once you were done with this process, you would want to unhide. So I would select from cell B, or you can take the entire sheet by hitting this triangle, right click, and the way to unhide would be to right click and unhide the entire thing. So right click and unhide. Okay, it didn't like me using the triangle. I'm going to select all the columns from column P on all the way back, and then right click and unhide. So there we have it. So now we're back to our original IIF file, and next time we'll go through the adding of the account numbers to it.